Can you imagine your life where money is your friend, working with you to achieve all your dreams and desires? If you struggle seeing money as your friend, then join Kathy Cook Noble, financial advisor and educator on understanding how your money can work for you. It is possible. Now, here is Financially Speaking with Kathy Cook Noble.
Good afternoon and welcome to Financially Speaking on the Inspired Choices Network. I am your host, Kathy Cook Noble, and every Monday night we get together and we tackle something financial, whether it's a concept or a problem or a confusion, which is a lot of the case, where people have heard something or they've heard a term and they just aren't 100% sure what it means, or even all the acronyms that get used in this industry. We've even done a whole show on acronyms, which help to break down a little bit more understanding of what is actually being talked about. And I always say that you can understand your own stuff like that. There's no question whether you have a finance background, a math background, or you even have an interest in finance or math, you can understand your own stuff, because it's really, there's a lot of numbers involved in finance, that's for sure. But the reality of it is you have the opportunity to understand everything about your own investments, your own banking, your own mortgage, your own education for your kids, your own retirement, whatever the case may be. And while there is math and numbers in it, a lot of it isn't the math and numbers that you're doing yourself. And either if you're working with a professional or you're just working with a good friend or family member who's good at it, they're probably the ones that are working through that part for you, and they're helping you understand where you're at and what you're doing. But I always tell people, whether you're doing it yourself or you're working with somebody else, you definitely can understand it, and you should understand it, because nobody cares more than you do about your money. And I think that's an important thing for all of us to understand, that what we see on TV and all these reality TV shows and anything reported like that, that is not what we're normally working with every single day. So we don't need to balance all our houses all around the world and multiple cars and all that kind of stuff. We just need to take a look at our own stuff. And that's what we do here on Financially Speaking. And I tell people all the time, if there's a topic that we haven't covered, let me know, because I'll do it. If it's something that has you confused, or you just need a little support on understanding something, let me know, and we'll do a show on it. Either a whole show, if it's a topic that you want all the we can go through all the information on and do research for, or if it's just a short question topic that might just be the first, maybe a segment of the show, we can do that too. So don't be afraid to write in or join us in the chat room and share that with us. And if you are not able to join us live on Monday nights, that's okay, because we're in over 250 areas that you can find us. And if you are able to download on a smartphone, which most of us are nowadays, then you can download the app, which is absolutely free, the Inspired Choices Network app. I recommend highly that you go, even on break, just download it. It takes no time at all to do it. It's available for Androids, it's available for iPhones, so you'll have no problem accessing it. And you can join in the chat rooms live on the app for any of the shows. And you can also listen to any replays or find any of your hosts or shows that you're looking to find. And speaking of the hosts here, we have a pretty fantastic group of hosts that are on our network, and they're experts in their field. And I highly recommend you reach out to them if any of their shows, to listen to them in replay or live. And if you want to reach out to them personally to work with them or talk to them, they're also very approachable. And the entire network premise is to make it a holistic experience for people to really live their best and happiest life. And by doing that, there's a financial part, and I contribute to that a little bit. There is a part about your mental health, your physical health, your family health, health for extended family, kids, parents, and so forth. So all those topics are covered. Work topics, questions on business, if you need coaching, any lifestyle coaching. There's a host for that. And if we're missing something, which is possible, it happens from time to time, where people keep saying, "Why don't you have such and such?" that might be your area of expertise. And I would encourage you to reach out to Christine, our network president and owner, as well as the host of the Inspired Choices Network show. And she would be happy to talk to you about opportunities to be a host. And don't let that scare you, because it scared me when she talked to me a few years ago. Because remember, I do math and not normally out front, in the front of the scene. And talking to Christine, she's super easy to talk to, and she's very, very supportive. And she would not just throw you like a baby bird under the tree and hope you fly. She's with you every step of the way to help you on your show, to make sure that it's successful, and any questions you have, she's there for you. And she'll even come on your show to help you co-host it for the first few if you need her. But don't tell her I told you that, but she will do that for you. She's very accommodating. So reach out to Christine. She is definitely the person to talk to, the CEO of ICN, and she is the host of the Inspired Choices Network. So, or the Inspired Choices Show. See, it's our network is ICN. The Inspired Choices Show is the name of her show on the network. So reach out to Christine. And tonight, like some nights, we have guests, and some nights we have topics that people have written into. The idea came up not so long ago that we have International Women's Day every year in March. March the 8th is the date this year, if I'm right. And we thought this year on our show, what we'll do is we'll feature women in business on our show each week, right up until International Women's Day, because I think it's important that we highlight a lot of different successes for people at various levels, specifically in this odd time in the world where it's very unique and very special. And it's been something the last few years where there's no person untouched by the way the world has changed. Whether it's in a good way, because there are good things that have happened in the last 2 years. It's not all bad. There's for sure bad things that have happened in the last 2 years. And some people have been hurt financially. They've been hurt emotionally in the last couple of years. There's other people that have actually done well financially in the last couple of years. So I think it's important that we always highlight the opportunities and experiences that people have had or that they haven't had. And in this case, we've got a few weeks where we're highlighting various women and their stories in business, whether it's a success story or whether it's a story that they are sharing that they've overcome obstacles and or are in the process of overcoming obstacles. And tonight we have a very, very special guest, and she's all the way out on the west coast of Canada. For those of you who are in Canada, she is a few provinces over from where I am in Ontario, and she is I'm going to say our highlight for family business, because for those of you that have heard the show, you know that I come from a family business background, and I still support the family business in different ways from working with it and working with family members. And when we talk about business, I tell people that there's business and then there's family business. And while there's business in both of them, having family involved in business always adds a different dimension to the way that it works. And I know Jennifer Brown, she's joining us online, and she's probably heard that and maybe laughed a little bit, because we've had conversations about how different it is with business and family business. But I want to introduce to you Jennifer Brown. She grew up on construction sites in her father Keith's millwright shop. He taught her about building materials, individual trades, and most importantly, how to coordinate them all, which is no small task. That led her to follow in his footsteps and make design and construction her career. Jennifer has an extensive background in design, art, and business. She also earned her LEED professional credentials, which we're going to ask her about. This advanced knowledge in green building means she can design healthy, durable homes and commercial spaces that use fewer resources and produce less waste. Her passion for color, balance, and functional design is evident in all her projects and in her hobbies. On the weekends, Jennifer can be found often in the middle of a home renovation or painting a landscape in acrylics. So I want to welcome to the show, Jen Brown. Hi, Jen.
Hello, thanks for having me.
I'm excited to have you. You have actually so many, and I hate to say it because I don't like to put people in boxes, but you have so many check marks that you can check off. Being a woman in a very male-dominated industry, working in a family business, being a woman in business, you've got so many different hats that you wear, and they're kind of unique hats in my mind, because it's you and I've talked before, and we'll talk about how you got involved in the business. We'll talk about I definitely will talk about LEED and what that means, because that's a very special accreditation that you have. And maybe we'll even share a little bit about what a great artist you are, because I know we didn't highlight that, and I don't know how much you promote that or even share that, but I know you're also a fantastic artist. So maybe we'll start with just letting you share a little bit about what you do and how long you've been doing that, and I know you got started by working with your dad, and how that evolved into you really running the company.
Sure. You started it best. I always said that I grew up in the shop in the sawdust. Playing in sawdust was my fun toys. We were always going to job sites, and even from a young age, I'm anally organized. So I could really see some pitfalls on the job site. I could see that it was difficult for the information need to be communicated to the contractors. There was clients involved that needed to make decisions. There oftentimes was a designer involved that was helping to navigate some of those design decisions. And at the end of the day, everybody was wanting to have the end result be great for the client. But, there were some challenges along the way. And so I think in seeing that over my years, when I decided to go to school, I wanted to pursue a career in interior design. And I really wanted to be able to put some more processes and some systems in place to really help all those different components, help the client, help the designer, help the contractor really make the project run smoothly, and at the end of the day, be something that the client was super thrilled about.
That's awesome. And when did you, or was there a moment, and I've actually had this asked of me before, so I'm curious what you think. Was there a moment in your life where you're like, I'm going to go into the family business, this is what I'm going to do?
Yeah, I think so. The summer between grade 9 and grade 10, my dad and I were traveling Europe. We were spending a month together because he was always working, so it was a great opportunity for us to be together. And I think that just having that time together was really important for me. I really cherished those moments, and I thought, wouldn't it be great if I could work with him, and we could be together every day and growing a business and helping people along the way.
Absolutely. And we're going to take we're coming up to the first break of the night, but when we come back, you'll be able to answer more about the family business, like growing from that experience with your dad and deciding I'm going to go into the family business, and just sharing on how very easy it is to work in the family business, and it's always so smooth, and and it's never ever interfering with holidays, and there might be a tiny bit of sarcasm in there for me.
Right.
So
right.
When we come back, we'll take our first break, and when we come back, we'll talk more to Jen about the family business, and being involved in it, and how it's evolved for her, and how her role has evolved from coming in to really running the company, and what happens when you're in the business with different staff and different people that you're dealing with, and I know from experience too that being the boss's daughter is always a title that never really sits great, but it's one that you have to wear. So we'll talk to Jen about that too. You are listening to Financially Speaking on the Inspired Choices Network. I am your host, Kathy Cook Noble, and tonight we have a special guest, Jennifer Brown, and she will be with us for the whole show. So feel free to send in questions, and we'll talk to her more about business and family business. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Too many of us get caught up in the unreal lives of reality television and complete to acquire stuff, which is setting us up to accumulate lots of debt. We're scared, confused, and don't know who to talk to. By tuning into Financially Speaking radio show with financial advisor and educator Kathy Cook Noble, you'll learn tips you can use to improve your financial health, which in turn can improve your overall health and make for a very happy life. Live a life you can afford and enjoy. It is possible. Listen for Financially Speaking radio show every Monday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 3 p.m. Central, 2 p.m. Mountain, and 1 p.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. Are you a subject matter expert? Are you here to share your expertise with an audience waiting to hear from you in only the way you can deliver? Are you ready to have your voice amplified across the airwaves? Inspired Choices Network has a global radio platform streaming to millions of people across the world. Professionally produced and supported by an accomplished team every step of the way, you can broadcast from anywhere in the world, knowing your voice matters, and we ensure it is delivered with ease and efficiency. Eager to hear your message, the world awaits. Contact us today to become an Inspired Choices Network radio host. Email become a host at inspiredchoicesnetwork.com. This is the Financially Speaking Show with financial advisor and educator Kathy Cook Noble. To participate in the program, join our live studio audience in our chat room at inspiredchoicesnetwork.com. You can also make the choice to ask or comment by email by sending to Kathy@bookkeepplus.ca. Now back to the program.
Welcome back, everyone. You are listening to Financially Speaking on the Inspired Choices Network. I am your host, Kathy Cook Noble, and our very special guest tonight is Jennifer Brown from Decca Design, and we're talking to her about business and family business. And just before we went to the break, she shared how she got into the family business, and I asked her maybe after the break we can expand on how her growth in the business actually progressed. And I jokingly, and I know it's a joke, nothing's ever smooth, but I know in family business it's really never smooth. So Jen, how did you transition into the business and then move yourself up into the business and deal with still being a family member?
Yeah, that's a good question, because you said about being the boss's daughter, and obviously, when you start at that one, everyone is looking to see if you're going to fail or see how difficult you're going to make things. I think there was a large transition period there when I did come on board. But I think that over time they really came to see that my skills were important and that they valued them. They made for the job to run smoother. They made less questions and less challenges for the individual people involved in the job. So I think over time they really grew to appreciate why I was there, and lots of times they still joke, well, we'll go with what Jennifer says before what Keith says. But it's my dad always told me when I started that people would always look up to him because he had the gray hair, and the gray hair made experience. So I like to joke I have gray hair now, and I've earned all of it, and I've got lots of experience. So I think that I really do contribute great value to a project.
Absolutely. And did you find that you had to work twice as hard just to prove that you could do the job, even though you already knew you could do the job, but you had to prove it a little bit more, maybe even a little bit to your parents? Because sometimes I know that's sometimes something that runs through your head when you're in the family business.
100%. I think that you do work twice as hard, like you say, and I think that you're hesitant to rock the boat too much because you don't want to have an argument at work, because then it might not be friendly around the dinner table later, or makes holiday gatherings a little more challenging.
Yeah, I agree. Now, did you guys develop any parameters around, and I know there's lots of different family businesses I've talked to, and some of them have, and actually I think you and I have even had this conversation, but some of the businesses, the families have had a rule that when they're outside of the business, when somebody gets talking too much, there's an object that they either hold up, or I know one family, there was a light that they turn off and on in the living room or whatever. If someone's talking too much, they'll go over and turn the light off. Did you guys set anything like that when you started working together, or even after you started working together a little bit?
I think that that's just 2020 vision. That probably would have been an amazing idea. I don't think there were a lot of boundaries when we started. I think it was very intermixed. I think that over the years we have tried to establish more of those boundaries. I think that allows us to be colleagues and working together on the team when we're at the office, and then it does allow us to move back into a father-daughter role, which is very important and should be very separated from the family business. But that's definitely something that's taken quite a few years, I think, to kind of iron out, and a work in progress. I think that we work at that all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. And now that you've been in the business for quite a while, you had not just the family part of it, but you're in a pretty male-dominated industry still. And I mean, for sure back when you started, but even still, like construction and design and the commercial space that you're in, maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like you're pretty you're in a pretty specialized industry that's male dominated as well. How has that worked out for you as far as dealing with the different kind of personalities that you get in, engineering and planners and all that kind of sector?
I think it's just like we talked about, and just when you're first in the business, you're having to prove your strength, prove your skills, and prove how valuable that you can be to a project. I think in a male world, we organize our business differently. We attend site meetings. We want to be present throughout the construction process of our projects. We want to be seen, and we want to contribute to the project, because I think that makes a project successful at the end of the day. So I think that even though it is still a male-dominated industry, I think that people do respect what we do contribute, and I think that that is why most of our business now comes from referrals, because they can see that we do add value.
Yeah, good. Yeah, I believe that for sure. And it's I don't think it's tough, because I don't think people really realize that aren't in it how much extra work that you do, and really how much more effort you put in when you are a woman in a predominantly male industry. And it's just what it is. Like, I'm not making anything of it. It's the reality of life, that you go into this, several years ago, and you probably were in the same situation I was, where you had to know more than everybody else, and you had to know it sooner, and you had to be there, maybe earlier than everybody else, and in terms of earlier to the decisions and the jobs and getting stuff done, and more organized, because the expectation was higher for you, because you were sort of the what I remember from when we were on Sesame Street, one of these things doesn't belong. So you had to work twice as hard to make it look and make them accept that you do belong there. Did you find that that happened to you at any time, especially in the early years?
Yeah, just being on top of the projects, I think, is a really good thing that you alluded to there. You're looking to make sure that you've captured the ideas, you've communicated well with the client. You are transferring those ideas now to the contractor. When the contractor does have questions, you are able to answer them, and answer them in a timely manner, answer them in an educated manner, and also just answer them as to how it's going to best serve the whole of the project. Because I think that oftentimes I'm the keeper of the vision of the project, and so when a question comes on site, or we're unsure of a decision, I do feel like I can make an educated decision, because I know how that decision will affect the end of the project.
Yeah, for sure. What is there something that you wished you had known when you first started your career that you didn't know, that might have might have changed anything for you in terms of the direction you went?
I think I've always been I'm a lifelong learner. I'm always learning new things. I think that in the early years, you learn or you read a book or you take a class because you're trying to save money. And I think that I probably, in looking back on it, probably would have preferred to have reached out to the professionals or hired some people along the way that maybe that was their field of expertise while I knew it wasn't mine. I think that probably would have developed the business faster, and provided more growth opportunities along the way.
For sure. And I know you're a big reader and they always say when you read different things about people who are successful that they had a lot of failures along the way to help them prepare or get them ready for the successes that they've had, and they learned more about the failures than they had the successes. Did you have any failures that, not necessarily huge financial failures, but did you have anything where you thought, that was a fail, that didn't work, that helped you really prepare and change your course of action for what you do down the road?
Yeah, I've always believed that it's never a failure. It's just an opportunity to learn something. We experiences challenge every day at work. There's a fire. There's an emergency that needs a solution, or you get to the job site and there's a mechanical shaft in the way, or things like that. So I think you're always wanting to be flexible, and I think that you don't want to get too stuck on one idea. I think that you need to be open to other possibilities. You have to think quick on your feet. Lots of failures where maybe you've ordered an incorrect product, or it's come in the wrong color, or that product is now no longer going to be able to be used on a job. So I think you learn in your pocketbook, but also you just learn that you want to ask more questions and dot the I's and cross the T's next time, I guess. But flexibility is probably life's biggest lesson when it comes to the job sites. To roll with it, to take an obstacle and work with it, and at the end of the day, sometimes the solution is even better than maybe what you had originally planned.
Oh, right. Very good. Yeah. Flexibility. I agree completely. That's sort of the key to a lot of what we do in business in general, is having the flexibility to change directions or improvise when there's a color problem or equipment problem. That's for sure. What would you say have been some of your best resources then along the way? Is there any particular people that you were able to connect with and that were able to guide you or offer support, or is there certain resources that you really found helpful and really committed to using those, and that changed a lot of things for you? What have you found along the way? And I know and I know you're a big learner, and you're one of the learners that I know isn't one of these people that just reads and takes a course and doesn't do anything with it. You actually apply it and work with it and transition where needed to. So I'm just wondering if you found anything throughout the years that really stand out in your mind as being a big pivotal improvement or a moment that you found and was like an aha moment.
Yeah. Resources. I guess for me, people are my first resource. My dad has amazing years of experience that, I definitely rely on his experience as a great resource. I think my team, I have an amazing team at Decca, and so, I'm constantly stretching them and asking them new things, and they are amazing resources. I have a 2-hour round-trip commute to get to and from work, so audio books are probably my next massive resource. I love listening to books. I feel like if I can listen to a book and come away with one nugget that I can implement and make some changes in either my personal life or my business life, that's been a great success. I've had business coaches along the way. I think that when I've reached barriers or something that I wanted to know more of, I haven't been afraid to ask for help. And probably in the last couple of years, we have implemented within the office the traction from Gina Wickman. So I just love the EOS system, and we've definitely dove in headfirst into that system, and I think that the team has seen great value in that as well. I think that makes us analyze decisions or deal with issues better. And I can see that in the last, we've been implementing it for 5 years now. I can really see that has scaled us well, and it has also provided us some good flexibility. It's made us more resilient during these past couple years where there's been some challenging business times.
Yeah, for sure there has. So we're actually up to our second break of the night, believe it or not. We'll take our second break. When we come back, we're going to ask Jen about any myths or incorrect information in her field and profession that she can debunk for us. So we'll do a little bit of a myth buster with Jen in the construction and design industry about what people what they perceive it to be and what it really is. We'll also ask her how the last couple of years have impacted her business, and we'll try and sneak in what the future holds. Is there another generation that's going to be coming on in the family business? So we'll talk to Jen. She's here all night with us, and we're going to talk to her about the design and the construction business, as well as the family business, and how that all will be played out in the future. So don't go anywhere. You are listening to Financially Speaking on the Inspired Choices Network. I am your host, Kathy Cook Noble, and our special guest is Jennifer Brown from Decca Design. We'll be right back.
Too many of us get caught up in the unreal lives of reality television and complete to acquire stuff, which is setting us up to accumulate lots of debt. We're scared, confused, and don't know who to talk to. By tuning into Financially Speaking radio show with financial advisor and educator Kathy Cook Noble, you'll learn tips you can use to improve your financial health, which in turn can improve your overall health and make for a very happy life. Live a life you can afford and enjoy. It is possible. Listen for Financially Speaking radio show every Monday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 3 p.m. Central, 2 p.m. Mountain, and 1 p.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. Money is complicated, right? Actually, no, it's not. You don't have to be a trader on Wall Street to get a handle on your money. TV shows often instill fear to keep you believing you can't understand it or do anything yourself. If dealing with your finances brings up a lot of other F words, then you need to read All Ladies Should Use the F Word, A Guide to Loving Your Finances by Kathy Cook Noble. Kathy helps you take control of your finances and leave the other F word, fear, in the dust.
How wonderful would it be to carry your favorite Inspired Choices Network host with you throughout your day? Well, now you can. Inspired Choices Network now has its very own mobile app. Our free app offers live streaming shows, along with thousands of podcasts and TV episodes. Our shows cover a wide variety of topics. Whether you're waking up with us, carrying us through the day, and taking us to bed with you, we're always here for you to enjoy. We're easy to find. Just search for Inspired Choices Network in the Apple App Store or Google Play Store.
This is the Financially Speaking Show with financial advisor and educator Kathy Cook Noble. To participate in the program, join our live studio audience in our chat room at InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. You can also make the choice to ask or comment by email by sending to Kathy@bookkeepplus.ca. Now back to the program.
Welcome back, everyone. You are listening to Financially Speaking on the Inspired Choices Network. I'm your host, Kathy Cook Noble, and we've got our special guest tonight, Jennifer Brown from Decca Design. And we were talking about business in the construction and the design industries, as well as the opportunities that family businesses and sometimes the challenges that family businesses face when they work together as family and in business. But before we went to the break, I said we're going to ask some questions of Jen that is about myths in the industries of construction and design, as well as, what has the last 2 years done in that industry, because she's building physical structures, of course, and maybe where are we going with another generation in the family if we are. So Jen, what's your thoughts on any myths and so forth like that in the industries that you work in?
I think that from a design perspective, oftentimes people perceive design to be costly or time consuming. I think over the years we've really tried to educate our clients on the fact that, we call it RODI, kind of tying into your financial there, but it's return on design investment, because design really is an investment. It can return you not only time, it can return you money. It can, help people live a better life. Design is more than just the paint color that you choose on your wall or what pillow you have in your living room. It affects all areas of our life, and sometimes we don't stop to really acknowledge how maybe we could make some improvements. I often refer to them as barriers in our built environment. Maybe you've got, maybe you're a family of 5 and you've got 3 boys in hockey, and every time you come home you trip over the hockey bags because, the mudroom just can't accommodate for all the extra gear, or you don't have space in there. That in itself is just a challenge that can be solved with good design. Or, your office, maybe you don't have efficiencies in your office. Maybe you're walking a long ways to the photocopier, or you don't have collaborative areas where you can really sit and collaborate with your fellow team members. I mean, oftentimes design is just assessing what we have, making simple changes, and those changes will create some real significant improvements.
Absolutely. And I think you're right, because a lot of times, and there's more to design, I think, and obviously you'll correct me if I'm wrong, but I think there's a lot more to design than people realize about. It's not just about picking colors and fabric. It's a whole system of, I like to think it's a whole system of efficiency. And what you do is not just, you should paint this wall this color and put this color carpet with it, or this color flooring with it, whatever the case is. You do a whole approach to the project, don't you?
Definitely. I mean, we want whatever the end result of that design to be, to reflect your lifestyle, or to reflect how you want to run your business, or, how your business can be more successful. We like to do a really detailed, in-depth questionnaire when we first meet a client. What are the current challenges that you're experiencing? What do you really like about your house, or what really works well in your office? Before we start to really get into the nitty-gritty of how can we make improvements. Oftentimes they're simple things. Maybe the desk is not ergonomic, and, at the end of the day, you have a backache. Or maybe you love to cook, and, your kitchen just doesn't have enough counter space. Oftentimes those are things that can just make our lives so much better, and really, and they're simple changes, modifications, or yes, sometimes it is just paint a color on a wall, but even just how that color makes you feel is going to enhance your life, help you live your best life.
Absolutely. And I will come back to asking you about what the impact's been on the last couple of years and the next generation plans. But I think this is a great time to share with our listeners how they would be able to ask you questions, or what website to reach out to see some of your work with the company. If you can share with us a great resource for getting a hold of you and where to reach out.
Sure. Our website is Decca, DECCA-design.com, and we've got a great portfolio and gallery filled with lots of great photos of our projects and some showcases that will really walk you through a little bit more of our process and how we really identify the challenges of your site or your space, and then how we use good design to overcome those. And there's a contact form where I'd love to connect and see how I can help. You can go to the connect page and put in your information.
And they actually do connect with you and your team personally. It's Jen's very hands-on and very involved in the business. So it's a beautiful company that has been growing and has, you know, a lot of staff and growing that way as well. But Jen's very hands-on with all the projects. I know that. So anyone out there that wants to get a hold of Jen and the Decca Design team, it's a huge opportunity to be able to talk to them and get some input from them and see what you can do to work with them, because they are a phenomenal team. So thanks, Jen. We'll make sure that we have that in our chat room for you. I know you can't see the chat room, but we'll make sure that it's in there for people. So what has happened the last couple of years has been very strange around the world in terms of how we operate, how we interact with each other. We're not just how in terms of conversation, but how in terms of, you know, face-to-face and technology, because we're not in that face-to-face zone right now, but soon, I hope. How has that changed your business and the way that you do things?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think just at the onset, I think that, you know, we really connected as a team to how we could serve our clients and, you know, how we could weather the storm. I don't think anybody thought it was going to be a 2-year storm. So I think that's probably what we did first, is just some reflection of who we are and what other services could we provide. The phone calls started to come in quite quickly, because I think that a lot of people, while our home is our sanctuary, you know, we've spent more time in our homes than ever before. And so I think that was an opportunity to reflect on what you liked or didn't like, or in some cases had to set up your home office in the middle of the dining room or maybe a corner of your bedroom. So, you know, there was definitely some design challenges that came about when we initially moved home. Then that also transitioned for some people that were moving back to the office or workspaces. How were they being used? Did there need to be an integration of more technology to have more virtual meetings, or now to engage with people's clients in an online type of a fashion? You know, there's many office spaces that are quite vacant because they haven't had a lot of occupants for a couple of years. And so there's been a lot of talk as to how can we prepare those environments for when the people do come back, and how comfortable are those people going to be after, you know, spending a significant amount of time at home. What is the office space going to look like, and how can we make it collaborative while still safe? And, you know, how can we get people energized and actually excited to return back to the workplace?
Yeah, for sure. And these are a lot of things that for most of us, myself included, I'm in the same office. I've been in the same office for the last 2 years, and I've been able to work in my office for the last 2 years, coming every day to work. And the way we're lucky because frankly, we moved to our new office in January, and then in March, of course, everything got shut down. So we were lucky, and these are things that people like me might not think of, because we were already set up in a way by sheer luck that we were able to continue working in our office. But all the stuff that you've talked about, a lot of people, you know, it hasn't crossed their mind, and that's so true. There's so much empty office space right now, and there's a lot of businesses that are deciding, you know, how are they going to use this space, because just because we're going to be opening back up, whenever that happens, it doesn't mean that everything goes back to the way it was. There's still lots of transitioning for people who've been at work through the last 2 years, but at their house, at their home office. And there's a lot of people that want to continue working at their home office. So I think you're going to see a lot of people looking at the way their layout is in their office, and the design and the usage, and how social distancing is going to become a thing of everyday conversation versus well, that was for 2 years and now we're back to normal. I don't think that's going to just flip a switch and we go back to what it was pre 2020. So I think there is a lot of opportunity that people are going to be starting to now look at and say, wow, how do we design this better and more efficiently? So Yeah, I think that's great insight. Thank you for sharing. Um, what's We're up to our last minute before the break. So maybe what we'll do is I'll take our break, and then we come back. We'll ask Jen, where do you, in a family business, because all businesses are meant to be going concerns, they carry on. But in a family business, it's not the same as a succession business and a non-family business. Succession is always a little bit harder of a topic in some cases. I find it's either extreme ends. It's very rarely in the middle. It's either very, very easy and the conversation goes smoothly, or it's extremely difficult and the conversation is hard to get started. So when it's family business. So we'll ask Jen when we come back what family business looks like, if there's another generation coming in, or maybe it's just too soon to tell. But we'll take our last break of the night, and we'll come back and have our conversation about construction, design, family business with our special guest, Jennifer Brown. So don't go anywhere. You are listening to the Inspired Choices Network. This is Financially Speaking, and I'm your host, Kathy Cook Noble, and we'll be right back.
Too many of us get caught up in the unreal lives of reality television and complete to acquire stuff, which is setting us up to accumulate lots of debt. We're scared, confused, and don't know who to talk to. By tuning into Financially Speaking radio show with financial advisor and educator Kathy Cook Noble, you'll learn tips you can use to improve your financial health, which in turn can improve your overall health and make for a very happy life. Live a life you can afford and enjoy. It is possible. Listen for Financially Speaking radio show every Monday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 3 p.m. Central, 2 p.m. Mountain, and 1 p.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. This is the Financially Speaking Show with financial advisor and educator Kathy Cook Noble. To participate in the program, join our live studio audience in our chat room at InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. You can also make the choice to ask or comment by email by sending to Kathy@bookkeepplus.ca. Now back to the program.
Welcome back, everyone. You are listening to Financially Speaking on the Inspired Choices Network. I am your host, Kathy Cook Noble, and our guest tonight has been Jennifer Brown from Decca Design. And we just have last few minutes with Jen, and wondering, Jen, is there any conversation or planning that has maybe started, or just the conversation started about what the succession looks like? Is there another generation that might be coming in to the construction and design business?
Yeah, I'm not sure about that. Succession isn't an easy topic around the office for sure. My dad is looking to slow down, but he loves work. He loves being creative, and he loves contributing. My son has always, I guess, supported the business in his own way, participating on the job sites or participating during the summer and on his breaks. But I think that he sees a lot of work, and he just, he sees the different dynamics of a family business, and I think that I will probably see him pursuing other avenues other than the family business. But at the end of the day, I want him to find something that he loves.
Yeah, absolutely. For sure. And there's still so many years ahead anyway. But I know with my work, and it's no secret that our family business was basically the worst plan for succession that was out there. And it took many years and many tears to come around and start doing it. So hopefully yours will go a lot smoother. But
I can learn from you. There's lessons.
Yeah, that's right. I'll tell you all the things not to do.
Okay.
But the good news is there's always light at the end of the tunnel. So that's always the good news. No matter, even through a pandemic, there's always light at the end of the tunnel. So that's great. So Jen, thank you so much for joining us. I'm wondering, what have I missed asking you that I should have asked you, or anything at all that you want to share that we haven't talked about that I think would be great for us to talk about? We do still have a bunch of time left, probably 6 minutes left. So we've got the opportunity to talk about anything that I've missed. So don't be shy and share whatever it is that you think that I'm okay that I know I missed stuff, but let me know what your thoughts are.
Well, I think you started the show by just saying that there's business and then there's family business. And, I don't think that it is for everyone, and it definitely has its challenging days. But, I think at the end of the day, it is very rewarding. I know that my dad always has my back. He's there to support me. And, while he might not always agree with the more current or the modern ideas, he definitely has always been supportive, and that isn't something that's true in every business. So don't rule out family businesses entirely. Maybe just approach it with some better rules of engagement as you start to think about a family business. If somebody is out there thinking that might be a right path for them, and we've talked a little bit about boundaries, and we've talked time to review, and setting some frequent times to really check in with each other, and how is it going, and is it still a positive experience for all family members involved? Because I think that actually at the end of the day makes for a healthier family, but also for a healthier business.
Yeah, I think you absolutely nailed it right there. And the family business, as it's funny, even the worst challenges that you go through, or arguments you might have with a family member, there's always the fact that you're family. And at some point, sometimes it takes longer than others, but that always kicks in as a reminder for everybody that, first we're family, and then we have a business. And I think actually all the big businesses that people talk about, they forget that they all started as family businesses or some kind of small business. Like, we can even take Jeff Bezos. He may have started himself in his basement, but his wife was very supportive and very part of the early years to help him grow the business. And that to me is a very clear family business support. And she might not have always been in the business, but she certainly was part of helping him with the business and getting it going. And he's grown it to be something spectacular, quite frankly. Whether you like it or not, it's a pretty impressive business. So I look at, stuff like Amazon and that, and I think even Walmart, the Waltons started that business as a family, and I'm sure they've all had the same challenges and the same arguments and the same successes and excitements and celebrations, and they've moved on and grown it to be a very successful business as well. So I think you're right on. As much as family business can be challenging, it can be super rewarding, and I think that's great advice to keep it in mind for people. But I also think you're 100% right, where people need to establish the boundaries so that you're not sitting around the Christmas dinner table still talking about that client or that issue or those backlog of parts or whatever the case might be. So I think that's also super good advice. And I really, really appreciate you joining us and coming on the show and sharing all your expertise and insight. There's about 1 minute left for the show before we are officially wrapped up for the night. Is there any last words that you'd like to share, Jen?
Well, just thanks for having me, and thanks for allowing me to share my gift. I love design. I love helping people in their spaces, and so it's just been a real treat to be able to talk with you and to share the fact that I am a family business. Absolutely.
I'm grateful that you came on the show. You're welcome anytime, that's for sure. And to all the listeners out there, Decca Design, it's DECCA design, DESINIGN.com, DeccaDesign.com. And Jen is not just geographically specific. She is actually available and does a lot of consultation in various parts of the country and parts of the world. So please reach out to her. You have been listening to Financially Speaking on the Inspired Choices Network, and we're going to continue for the next 3 or 4 weeks. I forget what the calendar looks like now, but right up until International Women's Day, and we're going to highlight some pretty spectacular women and their stories and how to look at it.
Thank you for choosing to listen to Financially Speaking Radio Show. Kathy Cook Noble will return next Monday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. 3 p.m. Central, 2 p.m. Mountain, and 1 p.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. We hope you'll join us. Until then, have the best week of your life by making the choices that bring you all that you desire.